This morning, we're following breaking news as Iran launches missiles at a military base housing U.S. troops.
And we'll tell you what's next for a Madison neighborhood after City Council votes to repeal a master plan for a local high school.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, January 8th. I'm Josh Spreiter.
And I'm Leah Lynchide. We are expecting to hear from President Trump this morning after Iran launched more than a dozen missiles at 2 Iraqi bases housing U.S. troops.
Reports from U.S. officials say there were no American casualties as a result of that missile strike. However, Iranian state TV claims 80 U.S. soldiers were killed. Iranian state TV also says the strikes were an act of revenge for last week's killing of General Qasem Soleimani, who was buried hours after that attack. President Trump has already issued a warning to Iran, saying he will hold Iran accountable for any retaliation.
We're prepared to attack if we have to. If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences.
After the attacks, the president tweeted, "All is well and so far so good." Iran's foreign minister also reacted on social media saying, quote, "Iran took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense, and they do not seek escalation or war."
We are following more developing news out of Iran this morning. Iranian state TV reports all 176 passengers on a Ukrainian plane are dead after a crash overnight. The Boeing 737-800 jet took off early this morning from an airport in Tehran, crashing shortly later. State TV reports technical difficulties are to blame. Boeing 737-800 is an older model than the 737 MAX, which has been grounded for nearly a year now. The company says they're aware of the crash and are working on getting more information.
Right now, multiple countries are urging their citizens to avoid traveling to the Middle East as the conflict escalates. India is warning their citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to Iraq until further notice, while neighboring Pakistan is urging their citizens to exercise maximum caution while traveling. Airlines are also taking their own precautions this morning. U.S. carriers are banned by the FAA from operating in the airspace over Iran and Iraq. China Airlines and Singapore Airlines are also diverting flight routes from Iranian airspace.
Back here in the U.S., we're getting a new look at what President Trump's impeachment trial could look like in the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he now has the votes to conduct the trial without deciding on witnesses. He needs a simple majority to approve those ground rules. McConnell says the precedent would be very similar to that of former President Bill Clinton's impeachment trial, where the decision to call witnesses was voted on after arguments from the prosecution and defense. Democrats are arguing that any trial in the Republican-controlled Senate wouldn't be fair without the ability to hear new evidence.
6:03 right now. Meteorologist Hattie McLean is here with a first look at the forecast. And Hattie, it is cold outside to start off this Wednesday.
It certainly is. We've been spoiled for the last couple of weeks with relatively mild conditions, but not so this morning. Take a look at the current wind chills. You're seeing a lot of negative numbers on the map. It feels like 8 below here in Madison, 10 below in the Dells, even 2 below in Janesville. So bundle up this morning. We're going to see some improvement in those wind chill numbers. We'll actually go into positive territory, but wind chills will stay in the teens right through the afternoon. Let's get a look at your first alert traffic maps now. We'll see what's happening here in Madison. There is a stalled vehicle on the Beltline. This is right near Monona Drive. Be aware of that. It is starting to get a little busier there right now, so that may cause some issues. Otherwise, around Dane County, things still looking pretty quiet. Looks like you're traveling at posted speed still, heading into Madison. Coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes, we'll talk about 2 alert days that have been added to the forecast.
Hattie, thank you. Local breaking news overnight. Madison police are looking for 2 men who they say robbed a BP gas station at gunpoint. It happened just after 9:45 on University Avenue. Officials say one of the suspects showed a handgun and demanded money from the clerk. They got away with a total of $240. Officers are now looking at video evidence in hopes of finding those suspects.
More breaking news overnight. Edgewood High School is now able to host games on its athletic fields.
That's thanks to a late-night city council meeting, and our Christina Laurie is here to explain what all went down. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. We've been following the story for quite some time now. Madison's Common Council voted overnight to repeal the master plan for Edgewood High School. That means the school will be able to host games on its athletic fields. The council voted 15-5 in favor of repealing the plan after several hours of debate. Since 2018, neighbors have expressed their opposition to the school hosting night games, worried about noise and lights. Overnight, neighbors testified. Once again, some arguing removing the whole plan undermines the government process and would prefer compromise. Edgewood's president, however, says removing these restrictions just puts Edgewood on equal footing with other schools.
We will also defend our right to be treated fair and equal as a neighbor and Madison institution. I ask you to do what is fair and treat Edgewood equal to all other institutions owned as CI. Please vote tonight to repeal the master plan.
Edgewood has a fine athletic field. They need to be able to play games on that field. The neighbors who live close by and in the area need to be assured that they're not going to be subjected to undue amounts of noise and light. There's only one solution to this that respects everybody's concern, and that is to go through the amendment to the master plan process.
Now, it's still unclear whether Edgewood will drop its current lawsuit against the city of Madison. That lawsuit alleges religious discrimination, saying all Madison's public high schools and the UW-Madison don't face these same restrictions. So we'll have to wait on a full decision on that coming up.
An ongoing conversation, I'm sure. Christina Laurie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right now, Governor Evers' office says the National Guard Bureau is opening an investigation into the former commander of Wisconsin's National Guard. Investigators say Major General Donald Dunbar allegedly initiated an internal sexual assault investigation into violation of federal law and military regulations. Dunbar resigned after a 7-month-long investigation found repeated mishandling of sexual assault complaints.
The Westgate Mall here in Madison will be coming down later this year. A construction company is sharing its plans to demolish the mall this summer and replace it with a new mixed-use complex. Owners will be meeting with the city at the end of the month to go over concepts for the project. They hope to include housing, commercial, retail, and office space, along with a restaurant. Hy-Vee will not be torn down for that project. Construction, though, could take up to 5 years.
Another multi-use apartment complex could be popping up in downtown Madison. The State Journal reports LZ Ventures is proposing a new 10-story building on East Washington Avenue with commercial space and underground parking. It would be just 3 blocks away from the Capitol. They're asking to demolish houses on that block, along with Clinky Cleaners and a tattoo shop. The project timeline isn't clear yet, but developers are set to meet with city planners for talks this week.
To Rock County now, a major apartment project in Janesville is getting the green light from that city. Our partners at the Janesville Gazette report the city's planning commission unanimously approved a permit for River Flats. That will be a 92-unit, 6-story complex offering affordable housing for city residents. If it's approved by City Council, the project would go up at the intersection of Laurel Avenue and Jackson Street. This would be the 3rd complex to be approved in just the last 6 months in Janesville.
To campaign 2020 now, there are just 6 months left until the Democratic National Convention comes to Wisconsin, and we're now getting a sneak peek at how it will work. DNC leaders say their 2 main goals for the 500 media members in town are to explain logistics and to give them stories to tell. The DNC also showed off Pfizer Forum, where the convention will be held. That convention is July 13th through the 16th.
Before the convention, Wisconsin voters will be heading to the polls for the primary election, but they'll only see one Republican candidate on the ballot. Republican committee members voted unanimously to clear the field for President Trump. Meanwhile, Democrats will have 14 names on the ballot. Those include Joe Biden, Michael Bloomberg, Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, and Elizabeth Warren. The primary election is scheduled for April 7th.
New information on the state of our dairy industry this morning. Wisconsin lost 10% of the state's dairy farms in 2019, breaking last year's record high. The latest data from the State Department of Agriculture shows there were 7,200 registered dairy herds in the state as of January 1st. That's 818 fewer than at the start of 2019 and the largest decline since state records started in 2004. Wisconsin lost just over 7% of its herds in 2018.
Hate to hear that news.
I know. Hopefully they can get a little bit of a turnaround this
Indeed.
year. All right, still ahead for us right now on a Wednesday morning. We'll tell you how a mild winter weather is affecting parks and lakes in the Madison area this season.
Things not feeling too mild out this morning. Hattie's tracking wind chills below 0. Stay with us for the latest on your First Alert forecast. That's when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. We're off to quite a chilly start this morning. Wind chills are below zero, so add an extra layer before you head out the door. We have a lot to talk about weather-wise. 2 alert days have been added to the forecast for Friday night into Saturday, and then again late Saturday into Sunday. Watching a fairly complex, large storm system that's going to move into the area this weekend, bringing some snow to southern Wisconsin that could lead to some accumulation finally for the region. So let's take a look at all the details. Here's Future Track forecast model at 7 p.m. on Friday. So I don't think this snow is going to impact the afternoon commute on Friday, but it will move in through the evening and overnight hours and then come to an end on Saturday. There'll likely be a little bit of a break, but then another round of snow is possible later Saturday night into very early Sunday. Still some question marks with the exact track of this storm. We are on the far northern edge of it. So if there is any movement one way or the other on this storm system, it will impact what type of precipitation we see here in southern Wisconsin and also have a huge impact on our snow total. So stay up to date with the forecast over the next couple of days, especially if you're traveling this weekend. There are some things that we know for certain, and there will be a sharp cutoff with the snow and a sharp temperature gradient associated with this storm system. So that will lead to really huge differences in snow amounts just across a short distance. There will be a fairly large storm that impacts travel for the area. Our current conditions this morning, 8 degrees here in Madison. We have a north wind though at 14 miles an hour, so it feels like 8 degrees below zero this morning. Skies are clear and temperatures are pretty cold from Madison and points to the north. We are in the single digits this morning. A few spots still in the lower teens. There is a northwest wind though for the entire area, and that is generating sub-zero wind chills this morning. It actually feels like 10 below in the Dells right now, 2 below in Janesville, as well as Platteville. So as I mentioned, bundle up. Wind chills will climb above zero by mid-morning, but they'll stay in the teens through the afternoon. So that's significantly colder than the last couple of days. Your Future Track forecast model has clear skies this morning, so enjoy that sunshine. Before the afternoon, look for clouds to roll into the area. It's going to be cold today with highs only in the low 20s. Now overnight tonight, southerly winds will kick in and temperatures are actually expected to climb during the overnight hours, so it will be quite a bit warmer this time tomorrow. We still have some rain in the forecast. Could see a little bit of freezing drizzle Thursday morning, especially in our northern viewing area. Otherwise, it's all rain through the afternoon with a high of 44. Again, snow developing Friday night, and then snow chances staying in the forecast through Wednesday of next week. Now it's time to get a look at those first alert traffic maps this morning. We'll send it over to Stacey K for all the details. Good morning, Stacey.
Good morning. There still might be a disabled vehicle on the ramp from Monona Road to the Beltline, and that might still be causing a bit of a delay in that area. Otherwise, no problems yet on the rest of the Beltline. It's busy, but there's nothing else to slow you down in either direction. Checking out other roads here in Dane County, the usual brake lights at Stoughton and Park Street approaching the Beltline. No problems downtown in East Washington just yet. And other main roads heading into Madison, they're cruising along. No crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacey K.
Stacey K and Hattie, thank you both very much. 6:16 is your time this morning, so maybe below freezing right now, but the overall mild temperatures this season are impacting Madison parks and lakes.
And that might be impacting the winter fun your family is looking for this season. Keely Arthur is live from the Westmoreland neighborhood to show us why. Hi, Keely.
Hi, Leah and Josh. Yes, I can personally vouch that it is very cold right now, but because of those mild temperatures, we're just not seeing the kind of ice cover we want. In fact, I'm standing in what's supposed to be an ice rink. It's a rink that I've skated on in years past. Right now, it looks more like a soccer field or something else, lots of grass. Now, this is just one of the 13 ice rinks and lagoons in the city, all of which are closed because of the mild temperatures. And it goes way beyond Madison parks. We're not seeing a lot of ice cover on any lakes. Now, Lake Mendota traditionally freezes by December 20th. The latest that it froze was January 30th back in 1932. So we're at the halfway point between those two dates. Now, this is creating a lot of issues for people who use the lakes once they do freeze for a number of activities, and that's creating issues for our local economy. We're just not seeing the same number of people come to the area during the winter. And the Clean Lakes Alliance is hosting their popular Frozen Assets Festival next month many of the activities take place traditionally right on the frozen Lake Mendota, but officials do have backups if the lake doesn't freeze by then.
It's a free, family-friendly festival, and it's going to happen whether we have ice on our lake or not. We have so many fun activities planned for on land. We have dance performances from 3 different Madison dance companies. We have an ice skating demonstration.
In addition to the ice skating demonstrations, they're going to have the Edgewater rink that is open at the hotel will still be hopefully ice covered if the lake isn't frozen. They're going to have some other activities, including Olympic speed skaters, face painting. So the event is still going to happen no matter what, but it is always really fun because it definitely normally takes place on the ice. And Lake Mendota has frozen every single year since those records were taken all the way back to 1852. So if for some reason the mild weather keeps up, or we keep seeing kind of that really freezing and then really warm ups like we've been seeing, and it doesn't freeze, officials say this would be really unprecedented, and scientists would certainly be studying this situation for years to come. Back to you two.
Boy, such an interesting story.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
Right now, wildfires are still burning out of control in parts of Australia this morning. Fire crews are racing to contain the biggest hotspots before another round of hot and windy weather. Nearly 1 billion animals are expected to be dead. Celebrities like Elton John and Chris Hemsworth are donating millions of dollars to relief efforts. 24 people have already been arrested for allegedly setting wildfires this week alone. Hundreds of people remain homeless and without power this morning.
Also without power this morning are the people of Puerto Rico. At one point, more than 300,000 customers were without water service. The governor declared a state of emergency for the island after 2 days of powerful earthquakes, the latest a 6.4 magnitude. At least one person is dead. Many schools and businesses are in shambles. The island is also keeping an eye out for more aftershocks to come this week.
6:19 is your time this morning, and still to come this morning, we're learning more about a bus crash in eastern Wisconsin that injured 6 students and the driver.
And you're going to want to bundle up on your Wednesday, maybe even crawl back under the covers. Why not? Hattie's tracking some wind chills below 0 for the first time in a while. That's coming up in our bus stop forecast on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back. 6:23 on your Wednesday. You're waking up to, what are we looking at for wind chills? Super cold.
Sub-zero this morning.
Brutal.
Yeah, a little drastic. We've had quite mild so far the last couple of weeks and the start of January, but this morning, Mother Nature reminding us that it is in fact January outside. So dress appropriately this morning. Here's a look at those current temperatures. 8 here in Madison, down to 4 in the Dells, just 3 in Camp Douglas. Still have a few spots lingering in the double digits this morning. But when you factor in the wind, it's from the northwest, it does feel like it's below zero in most locations early today. So put an extra layer on the kids, make sure they have hats and mittens today as they head to the bus stop. Wind chills will climb above zero by midday today, but through the afternoon for recess and heading home from school, wind chills will still just be in the teens. So here's a look at your bus stop weather forecast. Sunshine early on, being replaced by clouds today. Our high, though, just 22 degrees. Coming up in a few minutes, we will talk about 2 alert days that are in the forecast. We could see some snow here in southern Wisconsin.
All right, Hattie, we'll see you then. Thank you. Around the state this morning, a Wisconsin man will spend life behind bars with no chance of parole after shooting a man 16 times. Investigators say 21-year-old Nigel Schultz shot Bradley Gerke in the back of the head and torso, then buried him in a shallow grave in the town of Lebanon. The Fond du Lac man told police he did it because the victim was going to turn him into police. Before the murder, Schultz had been convicted of 10 felonies and multiple misdemeanors. The Dodge County District Attorney says he's convinced that Schultz would kill again if he was ever let out of prison.
Police are investigating after a Milwaukee school bus crashed, injuring 6 students and the bus driver. Officers say the bus hit a number of vehicles, including a cab that takes kids to school. The bus ended up in a garage. You can see in that video there. All those students are okay this morning and back home with their parents. The crash, meanwhile, is still under investigation.
A Delafield man is facing 3 felony charges this morning after making bomb threats to a county courthouse. Jeffrey Farrick allegedly called in bomb threats against the Waukesha County Courthouse on Monday. No bombs were found, but the building was closed while investigators searched the area. Farrick is now charged with creating bomb scares, making terroristic threats, and felony bail jumping. Bond is set for him at $150,000.
All right, 6:25, your time now. Still ahead, we are bringing you the latest on several stories breaking overnight, including the latest on a dispute between Edgewood High School and its neighbors.
And we're also awaiting a response from President Trump this morning after Iran launched missiles at a base housing American troops. Stay with us. News 3 Now This Morning is back after this.
Get From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for staying with us on this Wednesday, January 8th. I'm Josh Spreiter.
And I'm Leah Linscheid. President Trump will deliver a statement today after Iran fired more than a dozen missiles at 2 Iraqi bases with U.S. troops.
Early reports show no American casualties, but Iranian state TV claims 80 U.S. soldiers were killed. Before the attacks, President Trump sent a warning to Iran saying they'd suffer the consequences if they do anything they shouldn't be doing. But after the attacks, the president tweeted, "All is well and so far so good." Iranian state TV says Iran has 100 other targets if the U.S. responds.
We are following more developing news out of Iran this morning. Iranian state TV reports all 176 passengers on a Ukrainian plane are dead after a crash overnight. The Boeing 737-800 jet took off early this morning from an airport in Tehran, crashing shortly after. State TV reports that technical difficulties are to blame. Boeing 737-800 is an older model than the 737 MAX, which has been grounded now for nearly a year. Right now, there is no word on whether there were any Americans on board that plane.
Right now, multiple countries are urging their citizens to avoid traveling to the Middle East as the conflict escalates. India is warning their citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to Iraq until further notice, while neighboring Pakistan is urging their citizens to exercise maximum caution while traveling. Airlines are also taking their own precautionary measures. U.S. carriers are banned by the FAA from operating in the airspace over Iran and Iraq. China Airlines and Singapore Airlines are also diverting flight routes from Iranian airspace.
We are following more locally breaking news overnight. A fight between Edgewood High School and its neighbors over the use of its athletic fields might be over this morning.
That comes after a late-night vote by the City Council, and here with more on that decision is our Christina Laurie. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Josh and Leah. We've been following the story for quite some time now. The Common Council voted 15-5 overnight to allow Edgewood's master plan to be repealed, meaning a restriction on hosting home games is now removed. This has been an ongoing conflict since 2018, when neighbors first expressed their opposition to the school hosting night home games, worried about noise and lights. While some speakers overnight argued removing this whole plan undermines the government process and would prefer compromise, Edgewood's president says they're attempting to remove the plan after a letter from the city attorney said it would put the college on equal footing with the school, on equal footing with other high schools. It's unclear whether Edgewood will drop its current lawsuit against the city of Madison. It alleges religious discrimination in that lawsuit, saying Madison's public high schools and UW-Madison don't face the same restrictions, which again are now lifted after this vote.
Very interesting development there. Christina Laurie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. And we have more breaking news just into the newsroom within the last few minutes here. Beloit police say a domestic violence call in their city ended with a standoff in Milwaukee. Beloit officers were initially called to Porter Avenue just before 1:30 this morning, but the suspect in question was already gone by the time police got there. Now, just minutes ago, police sent out an update saying the suspect was safely arrested in Milwaukee.
6:32 right now. Another big story this morning. A big drop in temperatures today. Hattie's here now with your out-the-door weather and traffic. It's pretty brutal out there, Hads.
You're right, Josh. Skies are clear this morning, but boy, it is cold outside. Temperatures are in the single digits in many locations, and wind chills have a negative in front of them this morning. It feels like the single digits below zero in most spots early today. Here's a look at your forecast as you head out the door this morning. Bundle up. You'll need some extra layers. It's going to be a cold day today. Even this afternoon, wind chills will just be in the teens. Here's a look at your traffic maps early this morning. We'll see what's happening on area roads. Still may be dealing with a stalled vehicle on Monona Drive. This is near the Beltline, but just a little bit of excessive volume there right now. No other major issues in the Beltline or in and around Madison. Traffic heading into Madison looks like it's still going at posted speeds with no other accidents to report. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we'll talk about the chance for snow coming into the area late Friday into Saturday morning.
All right, thank you very much, Hattie. Now, despite today's cold weather, an overall mild winter so far might be keeping your family from enjoying city ice rinks or other outdoor activities.
Keely Arthur joins us live from the city's near west side to share what is open and what isn't. Good morning, Keely.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. I am at the Westmoreland Park, as you mentioned, and usually there's supposed to be ice underneath my feet. You can see that this is actually an ice rink, but right now there is just grass. And it's the same story for the 12 other ice rinks and ice lagoons in the city. All are shut down because there is simply no ice. And beyond Madison Parks, this is stretching into our area lakes. Of course, we know that Lake Mendota is still not frozen. The average date that freezes is around December 20th, and the latest it froze was January 30th. That's back in 1932. This is causing a lot of economic ill issues because people are just not coming to our area as much as they would during a normal winter to use the lakes for ice fishing. It also could create some ecological problems.
It can affect plant life within the lakes, which in turn can affect habitat. It can affect the fish populations, which therefore can affect bird populations, and the list goes on and on. So it really is a chain reaction.
So the latest that the lake, as I mentioned, had ever frozen was back in January 30th. It has frozen every single year since we've been keeping track of that, and that's since 1852. So if it didn't freeze for some reason, Karen Swanson, who you just heard in that soundbite, said scientists would be studying that for years to come. So what is open right now? Well, Elver Park is open. They're making snow, man-made snow. So the sledding hill and the cross-country skiing trails are open. We actually saw a cross-country skier at around 5 a.m. this morning. So those are being used. And if you're like me, not like Chris Reese, Chris loves the snow. If you're like me and you like more of a mild winter, you can use many of the trails. There's actually still so much more to do almost outside because we aren't seeing that ice. Josh and Leah.
A cross-country skier at 5 a.m. Dedication.
That would be us.
Love it. Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
Breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning. Madison police are looking for two men who they say robbed a BP gas station at gunpoint. It happened just after 9:45 on University Avenue. Officials say one of the suspects showed a handgun and demanded money from the clerk. They got away with a total of $240. Officers are now looking at video surveillance in hopes of finding those suspects. 6:36 is your time this morning. Coming up in the morning sprint, we'll have more about a new affordable housing unit that could soon be open in Janesville.
And we are telling you about a new invention that hopes to make traveling a little easier. Stay with us. News 3 Now This Morning is back after the break. right, welcome back. We're taking a peek at what your morning looks like. Paula sent us this photo out of Monticello.
That's incredible. I always love a good sunrise shot, and I know you love a good cornfield.
You better believe it. And I like some snow on the ground, too.
Yeah, that's a pretty shot. Thank you so much for sharing, Paula.
What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page, Twitter, or on Instagram, and use that hashtag MyNews3Morning so Josh and I can find and share our favorites.
All right, 6:39 right now, and trending now this morning. A consumer electronics convention is happening in Las Vegas this week, where the top new gadgets are shown to the public for the very first time.
Yeah, some crazy stuff over there, folks. Yesterday, we introduced you to the Rollbot, the toilet paper delivering robot. And now we're taking a look at another helpful invention on wheels. It's luggage you can travel with, quite literally. Exactly. This is the Moto bag, and it does all of the carrying for you. It comes complete with a seat for you to ride on top, so you won't have to run with your bags to get to your gate in time. It can go 6 miles on one charge and up to 8 miles an hour. The expected price, according to the Chicago Business Journal, is a hefty $1,500.
So Hattie made a good comment earlier saying, I wonder if that can even fit in the overhead bin. So
also,
what's the point?
She said, how silly would you look, this man in a suit driving down the airport?
Oh my.
In your little, I don't know.
I feel like it could get kind of dangerous, especially with how busy airports are already.
Depends on how bad of a driver you are.
Very interesting. I don't know a lot of people that will buy them at that price of $1,500.
Not me.
All right, well, Trolls Live is coming to the Overture next week, and we are giving away a free family 4-pack. All you have to do is go to the contest section of our website and have your kids submit a picture of one of us here on the morning team as a troll by the end of the day Thursday for a chance to win. We'll randomly pick a winner and announce the lucky winner on Friday morning show. You can find all the details over on channel3000.com. Just click on our contest tab. So our producer, Jake Taylor, took a crack at this, and this is what we've got this morning. I don't know if we can take a closer look at that.
Oh, boy.
I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Leah or me, but I think it's a pretty good job there.
Does my hair look that bad? Oh, boy.
And I guess we're like half dressed there, too.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, my. So, yeah, take a crack at that, and we'll announce the winner on Friday. I'm kind of excited to see what we all look like.
Hopefully better hair.
I hope so, too.
It's a cute idea, though. All right, still ahead. You're going to want to bundle up tight today with wind chills below 0 this morning. Oh, yeah. Hattie's tracking that and a few alert days to close out the week. She has the latest in your extended forecast up next.
But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning. We'll be right back.
For a clear, easy to understand forecast, watch First Alert Weather. Look who's the
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Take a live look at the Edgewater sky camera shot behind me. Beautiful shot this morning. Skies are clear, but bundle up. It is a cold start to the day. We're talking more cold temperatures this weekend and alert days in the forecast as well. 2 have been added for late Friday into Saturday, and then again late Saturday into Sunday. We could potentially see 2 rounds of snow here across southern Wisconsin. The first round could lead to some accumulation by Saturday morning, and then some question marks still as far as where that snow will stack up later Saturday into Sunday, but that could lead to more accumulation for southern Wisconsin. Take a look at your future track forecast model. This is one particular model bringing snow in late on Friday. You see, this is at 6:30, so not likely that this precipitation will impact the afternoon commute, but it will move in Friday night and then come to an end pretty quickly on Saturday morning. We will be very close to that rain-snow line, and there's the potential for some of that mixed precipitation to creep into far southeastern Wisconsin. Then again, with colder air in place on Saturday, looking more likely that some snow will be moving into the area Saturday night into very early on Sunday. But again, the exact track of this storm is still a bit under question. If it moves north or south, that will have a huge impact on our snow totals here across southern Wisconsin. So take a look at some of the range of snow totals that we could see. We could see some higher totals of snow with one particular model predicting nearly a foot in parts of southeastern Wisconsin, but a rapid drop off to the north and west with less than an inch in La Crosse. Here's another forecast model for contrast, and you can see much lighter on those snow totals. That particular model is keeping the snow further to the south. So we'll continue to watch it carefully over the next 48 hours. But if you have travel plans this weekend, especially here in southern Wisconsin or northern Illinois, keep a close eye on the forecast. Beautiful start, though, this morning with clear skies. Temperatures are cold. We have temps in the single digits here in Madison. It's 8 degrees, 8 as well in Watertown, just 4 right now in the Dells. There is a northwesterly wind, and that is having an impact on the temperature this morning. Wind chills are in the single digits below 0 in most locations. So bundle up today. Your future track wind chill forecast has wind chills back to around 10 degrees by lunchtime, but hovering in the single digits and low teens even through the afternoon. Now tomorrow's forecast will be milder. Take a look, 1 p.m. temperatures back in the 40s across southern Wisconsin with the potential for a little bit of rain. So quite the weather whiplash going over the next 24 hours for us. Here's a look at our extended forecast. We have temperatures in the 20s today. We'll double that for tomorrow with a high of 44. It will be quite windy through the day. And then we turn a little colder for the weekend into next week. Chances for snow are in the forecast through the middle of next week. Here's Lucy in Janesville.
Buddy.
She's like, did you say snow? What?
Wind chills?
I don't know.
Cold?
Yeah, very cute though. 22 for a walk this afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint is up next. Stay with us.
6:51, time for the morning sprint with a number of breaking news stories to update you on this morning.
We start at the nation's capital. That's where President Trump is expected to deliver a statement today after Iran fired more than a dozen missiles at 2 Iraqi bases with U.S. troops. Early reports show no American casualties, but Iranian state TV claims 80 U.S. soldiers were killed. Before the attacks, President Trump sent a warning to Iran saying they'd suffer the consequences if they do anything they shouldn't be doing. After the attacks, the president tweeted, "All is well, and so far, so good."
Iranian state TV reports all 176 passengers on a Ukrainian plane are dead after a crash overnight. The Boeing 737-800 jet took off from an airport in Tehran and crashed shortly later. State TV reports technical difficulties are to blame. Boeing 737-800 is an older model than the 737 MAX, which has been grounded now for nearly a year.
Multiple countries are urging their citizens to avoid traveling to the Middle East as the conflict escalates. India is warning their citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to Iraq until further notice. U.S. carriers are also banned by the FAA from operating in the airspace over Iran and Iraq. China Airlines and Singapore Airlines are also diverting flight routes from Iranian airspace.
Breaking into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, Madison police are looking for 2 men who robbed a BP gas station at gunpoint just before 10 last night on University Avenue. Officers say one of the suspects showed a handgun and demanded money from the clerk. Police are looking at video evidence in hopes of finding the suspects.
More breaking news just into the newsroom within the last few minutes. Beloit police say a domestic violence call in their city ended with a standoff in Milwaukee overnight. Beloit officers were initially called to Porter Avenue just before 1:30 this morning, but the suspect in question was already gone by the time police got there. Now, just minutes ago, police sent out an update saying the suspect was safely arrested in Milwaukee.
We are also following breaking news regarding a decision from the Madison Common Council overnight, which says Edgewood College can host home games on its athletic fields. That decision repeals the current master plan. Neighbors have expressed their opposition to the school hosting night home games since 2018, worried about all the noise and lights. At last night's council meeting, several speakers argued removing the whole plan undermines the government process and would prefer compromise instead. Edgewood's president says removing these restrictions will put Edgewood on equal footing with other schools. Josh?
Christina, thank you. Wildfires are still burning out of control in parts of Australia this morning. Fire crews are racing to contain the biggest hotspots before another round of hot and windy weather. Celebrities such as Elton John and Chris Hemsworth are donating millions of dollars to relief efforts. 24 people have already been arrested for allegedly setting wildfires this week alone.
The island of Puerto Rico is out of power this morning after a 10-day stretch of earthquakes. At one point, more than 300,000 people were without water service. The governor declared a state of emergency for the island. The latest quake hit with a magnitude of 6.4. At least one person is dead. Many schools and businesses have collapsed.
It is a very cold start this morning across southern Wisconsin. Take a look at the current wind chills, single digits below 0 in most spots early today. Our winds will diminish through the afternoon, but wind chills will still stay in the teens even later today. Stay warm.
Well, it's really cold, like you heard Hattie just say, but where is the ice? It certainly isn't here right now. We are at the Westmoreland Park. This is typically an ice rink, but I'm just standing on grass. 13, that's all of the rinks in the city, are closed right now, and it goes beyond Madison Parks. All the lakes are also unfrozen. Now, the average date for Mendota to freeze is on the 20th of December. January 30th, back in 1932, was the latest date it's ever frozen, so we are in the halfway point between those two dates, and our lakes are meant to freeze and thaw. If that doesn't happen this year, that's going to present some ecological problems. Could also lead to economic impacts as well. Josh?
Keely, thank you. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he now has the votes to conduct an impeachment trial without deciding on witnesses. McConnell says the precedent would be very similar to that of former President Clinton's impeachment trial, where the decision to call witnesses was voted on after arguments from the prosecution and defense. Democrats are arguing that any trial in the Republican-controlled Senate wouldn't be fair without the ability to hear new evidence.
Governor Evers' office says the National Guard Bureau is opening an investigation into the former commander of Wisconsin's National Guard. Investigators say Major General Donald Dunbar initiated an internal sexual assault investigation while he was under scrutiny for mishandling complaints. Dunbar resigned after a 7-month-long investigation did find repeated mishandling of those complaints.
The staff at Jefferson Middle School will meet with families later this month to address ongoing safety challenges at the school. This stems from an incident in which a student shot classmates with a BB gun. The day of the incident, Principal Tequila Kerr told families that she didn't believe the student meant any harm. However, News 3 Now Investigates learned that same student had 24 previous write-ups, including threats of wanting to shoot up the whole school. The listening session will take place on January 23rd at 6 p.m. in the school's lecture hall.
The Dane County Sheriff's Office says no wrongdoing was discovered in the investigation of donation money for the Henry Vilas Zoo. Sheriff Dave Mahoney says once the county took over that role, it noticed a major increase in the amount of money that had been reported compared to the years when the Zoological Society was collecting.
Just about 6:57, Stacy K is a final look at your First Alert traffic. Hi, Stacy.
Hi. Well, it is starting to pick up now on the westbound Beltline, especially between Stoughton and West Broadway. Inbound John Nolan getting busier at the Rimrock and North Shore Drive intersections as you make your way downtown. Volume starting to increase on East Washington going towards the Capitol and other main roads heading into Madison. Cruising along, no crashes or delays. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Stacy K.
Thanks, Stacy. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV sky camera shot this morning. As the sun comes up about 7:30, skies are clear early today. It is a cold start to the day, though. Temperatures are down in the single digits in some spots. Wind chills below 0. We'll lose the sunshine for the afternoon with high temps only in the low 20s.
Addie, thank you.
Thanks for joining us this morning, folks. Take some time for your family today, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.